talk about the power and the life force. I have a feeling that I'm blocking my life force, and often I don't feel much power in my life. I have a feeling that I am in touch with my feelings, the vulnerable. I can't say the word.
Vulnerability.
Yes. And the openness. But in some ways, I'm tricking myself or blocking myself so I don't feel much energy in my daily life. And I think maybe I'm tricking myself in some way. Maybe not to be in touch with some deeper feelings. I don't know, but that's maybe what's happened.
Yeah.
Can you say something about this?
Yes. Yeah. So when I look at you, I see a very obvious, like, actual fear of her, a fear of power as the pure feminine force. And this fear is it's connected with your relationship with your sexuality to a high degree. And in a way I could say that this is normal. I mean, this is where people go off, because we have, on one hand, we have this knowing that the power is there. On the other hand, we have investments in our lives which makes us like pull back from that power because we're afraid. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves with that power. And why don't we do that? Because we have seen it abused. We have only ever seen it abused. And that means that that part of not trusting ourselves with it, it comes directly from every imprint we've ever had in seeing power in play. Both in regards to sexuality, shut down, yeah? But also in terms of allowing like the actual, like a relaxation into the femininity. So this is definitely an area where you can start circling around, moving into, and unfolding. Feelings you have to be willing to meet are, first of all, there's a need for you to be willing to meet the terror and the fear that you have towards this part of yourself, this part of reality. And secondly, we have this willingness to be adventurous as consciousness waiting to happen for you. Because in this willingness to be adventurous, to be investigating, yeah? Right there, you can start like working with yourself in a different way. But you gotta have the playfulness alive around it. Because if the fear gets to control it, then you will never get to play, because you will be like hands off on it already, yeah? Basically, I don't want to speak to you on a doing level. I can add that in the end, but I would rather speak to you as love and as consciousness. And what is waiting is that you enter yourself, you enter your belly. You start allowing your seat and reference point to slide downwards into like, take a seat in your body. Yeah? And then from there is like, you can be sure, and of course it's a part of what you're afraid of, but you can be sure that it will set off a shitstorm. Because it will. Yeah, because the fact that you have closed it off means that there are things down there that you don't want to meet. So the part of facing parts of who you are, facing the not nice parts of you, meeting the monsters, but also being willing to lose these parts of your identity, which is parked on nice, and meet all of those fears connected with being parked on nice. And that doesn't mean to start acting out the monster or becoming a bitch. That's not what I mean. But I mean there needs to become a full embrace of yourself beyond this preference that separates light from darkness. You need to give up this that says, I like nice and I don't like not nice. And that doesn't mean that then not nice gets to like play around with stuff, but it just means that as consciousness, you need to become a fully compassionate embrace around all that you are. When you can do that, then these areas which are like closed off in the dark, it's kind of like a dragon in the cellar, you know? So when you come in there, you have to be willing to go in and not fight the dragon, but come in as compassion, to be present with this dragon which is going to spew a little fire here and a little fire there, yeah? Yeah. I can say that the more that you are willing to meet these parts of you, it all leads back to her. And that's the gist of it. That as you remove these objections to being present in your belly, the more presence that you allow in your belly, the more space you create. The more space you create in your belly, the more of a bowl there is for that creational force to come in and just be there, yeah? But you can't invite her in without allowing yourself to create a proper environment for her to rest in. It's like a bowl. She needs a bowl. She wants a bowl. Yeah. But right now your bowl is filled with something else. There isn't no room for her, actually. Yeah. It's time to take a dive. As I said, I don't want to talk about the doing level, because if you're just coming to this from this doing level, then you aren't facing what it's really about. And what it's really about is what we just talked about. But from the doing level, you can embrace that in various ways. And you can allow yourself to start out with. I want to make it clear that it's to start out with, like to give yourself a practice of giving yourself some space to be with this part of you over and over. But what we would like to invite is that this practice completely takes over your life, you know? That the part right now which is practice because you are not used to being in that rest, but that practice that opens for a strengthening of the consciousness to a level where you don't have to make another move to attend to that holding, you know? But allow yourself to come in with like a gentle step by step, and then like allow it to get more and more space in your life. But in a way I could say that your practice is eternal. You know? I'm a practitioner. Yeah. That part of practicing is more like just becoming that full body attention. And to start with, because you're used to looking somewhere else, then you need to focus on it. But the more space it gets to be a part of your life, the more you're dealing with everything will simply include the fact of that practice. Because then it isn't anymore a practice, it's a way of life. Yeah. It's kind of like putting as many eggs in that bowl of truth as possible, you know? So it isn't just a view of life leading, but it's like giving yourself so fully to it that there becomes like no difference between you and the way of life. You know, to surrender your body so totally into that loyalty to truth that you lose all of the investments of that one who is letting life lead. in a way as to break down the difference between the one leading the life and life itself. Yeah. Yeah.